Hi folks, how are all of you? Extremely delighted to come back to you with a very contemporary topic. If you probably like such topics and you probably want to have more of such videos, I urge you to give a thumbs up to this video and also subscribe to this channel. Corporate jargon, nothing is stopping the world from creating more and more corporate jargon. And it is kind of unstoppable. And one such corporate jargon which was doing the rounds more recently is quiet quitting. Of course, I've put a video on quiet quitting up there and you probably would find it interesting. Just to put it in a nutshell, quiet quitting is nothing but you are in a particular job and you do only as much as is required on the job, play by the rules of the game and do not do anything more or less because you're only trying to survive and probably move on to the next option. Quiet quitting, they say, it's already becoming a menace globally, and management consulting organizations are trying to figure out a way as to how to reduce the menace of quiet quitting. That aside, here I'm going to talk to you about a very new jargon which is quiet constraint. Now you may ask, what the hell is quiet constraint? Quiet constraint is nothing but withholding information which is probably relevant to employment, relevant to work, which is going to be useful to your colleagues, subordinates and peers. So if you are someone who is withholding information which is going to be which is going to make someone more productive, which is going to someone work better, then you are also practicing quiet constraint. Are you? Leave a comment below. I'd be happy to know if some of us are practicing quiet constraint. But that besides, the very different perspective to quiet constraint globally, particularly in the Western countries and even more in India. And I think I probably, as someone who's advocating remote work, I think human resource managers and corporate leaders have now smartly started using quiet constraint as a reason to leverage stopping remote work completely and making people come back to work. That is a cause for concern. Yes, one might argue that pre-COVID days there was no remote work, everybody worked in an office, and that was how it is. But subsequent to COVID, I think things changed. We had the hybrid model. Initially there was a lockdown globally and probably all of us got used to working from home or remotely, reporting to the corporate headquarters wherever it is. But subsequent to that, gradually companies have started getting back to the hybrid mode, where it is a judicious mix of working at the office, working at the client's place and working at your home, depending on what the client need or corporate need is. And subsequently now quite a lot of organizations both in the West and in India are pressing their employees to return completely to work, to kind of put a complete full stop to remote work irrespective of the consequences. There is a very mixed feeling on the proponents of remote work. There are people who say that it is extremely good because it brings down the capital costs of the organizations. Organizations really needn't spend a lot of money on real estate, which is a major component of corporate spend, and companies have now got used to saving a whole lot of money from rentals, from having swanky office spaces, and large organizations are now just operating from co-working spaces across locations wherever their employees can work from. Of course, there are many organizations globally which have not still reverted to complete come back to office norm, if I can say. There are still organizations which encourage remote work as long as the employee is able to deliver the goals of the organization. Now what is happening is this quiet constraint. The biggest reason given for the practice of quiet constraint amongst employees, amongst leaders, amongst peers, amongst the entire mass of employees in organizations is that there is very less employee engagement, and probably there is even much lesser engagement because they are all not working under one roof. One part of the employees are in the corporate office, the other part of the employees are working from their home, some of them are working from co-working spaces, and this is naturally led to probably people having lesser and lesser interactions. Interactions are only through Skype or similar meetings online for some part of the day, for reviews and things like that. Otherwise, the human touch is almost drastically come down thanks to this COVID lockdown and subsequent hybrid model or complete work from model is what people say. And that probably has increased the practice of quiet constraint, essentially meaning that it has started hitting the productivity of the organization. An employee doesn't share details of the client feedback. An employee doesn't share better techniques which can be helping the entire team to deliver better. A boss doesn't share smart work tips. A boss doesn't share client updates regularly to the entire team. Only some part of the team gets the client update, some part of the team doesn't get the update properly because they are working remotely and things like that. So this entire framework is kind of getting very messy from the perception of organizations. Organizations are now concerned that this quiet constraint is becoming a major menace, and which is why organizations are now trying to use it as a reason to make people come back to work. That said, if you ask me, if this practice is completely new, not really. We all like quiet quitting is been there for many years, and it is just that in recent years the jargon has come in place. Very similarly, even in the case of quiet constraint, the practice has been there for all and all. Essentially, if an organization is about has got about a handful of introverts necessarily are not great in terms of interactions, not outgoing in terms of communications, and they also require a lot of motivation by the team, motivation by their leaders to share more information, to change their working style commensurate with the goals of the organizations. Likewise, there is also one set of deliberate employees, even if they are extroverts, they don't share information because they don't think it is important, and they also feel that they are not given the important, they are not given due importance in the communication hierarchy of the organization. It boils down to the culture of the organization. It boils down to what kind of communication lines are open, how communication is encouraged, how feedback is encouraged, how mentoring happens, how reverse mentoring happens, and an entire lot of factors which are part of the human resources function. So quiet constraint has always been there. It is not been in menacing proportions probably until COVID, if one can say, but subsequent to the COVID lockdown globally, now most consulting organizations are starting to feel the pinch of quiet constraint being practiced deliberately or unintentionally by a whole lot of employees. But my own concern in the whole thing is that yes, quiet constraint must be stopped. There has to be better practice in employee engagement. There will be better communication channels within the organization. There will be more and more meetings when employees are spread across locations. But the whole problem is when HR or functional leaders of the organizations are going to use it as a reason to stop remote work completely. Post-COVID, all of us have become great advocates of a hybrid model where it is a mix of working from the office and working from home. As long as somebody works from home but is able to deliver excellent results in terms of both top line and bottom line, in terms of delivery parameters, in terms of client needs or client delight, I think nothing should stop an organization from encouraging it more and more, is what my personal feeling is. Of course, a lot of human resource specialists globally and motivational specialists globally, employee engagement specialists have also started uttering the same feeling, and they also have raised a very red flag that if you're going to stop remote work completely, obviously attrition is going to be very high. As a matter of fact, even in India, a lot of these technology companies are facing attrition because they are compelling employees to return back to work. Probably not so smart employees will take it in their stride and get back to work, but smarter employees who probably have the taste of remote work, the taste of accomplishing much more, and probably have better space for themselves in their life, are not willing to come back to work, and probably they have better options on hand. And one set of employers who can accommodate such people are luring them more and more. So in that sense, this jargon quiet constraint, although it's in practice for a long time, has certain new trends in the workspaces in India and overseas. One set of people said employee engagement must increase. Innovative methods of employee engagements are a need of the day, more so because the lifestyles and work styles have changed post the COVID lockdown. But the other set of people are raising a red flag, saying that for sure human resource specialists and leaders who would like to see them as proponents of stopping work from home completely are going to make use of this quiet constraint as a reason and compel the entire workforce to get back to work, or if they, in case they refuse to get back to work, they probably let go. So quiet constraint is not quiet, it is kindly causing a lot of rippling effects in the organizational landscape across the country. What do you think of it, and have you ever practiced it? What is your feedback on this? Please, I'll be happy to have comments on this. Also, if there are some other topics which you want to me to speak on, I'd be happy to put them across in case you leave a note below or a comment below. Thank you. Wonderful speaking to you on a very new corporate jargon. I'm sure you heard of it, but probably there are some of them who have not heard of us. To all of you, thank you again and have a wonderful life ahead, wonderful career ahead. Thank you.